a couple of members of the climate apocalypse gang showed up at the National Rotunda yesterday and spread red powder all over themselves and over the casing enclosed in which is the United States Constitution, and then, prattled on with the sort of speechifying you might hear from a member of the Socialist Spice Girls.
We are determined to foment a rebellion. We will not be held accountable to laws in which we have no voice or representation.
This country is founded on the conditions that all men are created equally and endowed with the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're calling for all people to have all these rights, not just wealthy white men. We all deserve clean air, water, food, and a livable climate.
Yeah. And we're here to launch a rebellion. That sounds like an insurrection. I hope they get charged with seditious conspiracy by Jack Smith. Give me a break. But this is what you're dealing with. And you see it where they superglue themselves to the courts of sporting events and expressways and so forth.
And throwing soup on paintings. And
so they're just sort of the public-facing expression of the idiocy that a lot of other respectable people subscribe to. This was the subject of a recent Remy parody video. It's a parody song and video, and Remy's always the best. Remy over at Reason.com, which is why every time he drops a new parody song, we try to accommodate the Weird Al of libertarianism. This little ditty is some of our people named, but may not be familiar with this. They're not as in touch with the hip-hop community as I am.
Oh, that's right. Well,
this is the title of the piece is All Oil Everything, and it's a parody of Trinidad James's All Gold Everything.
okay.
The Trinidad James song, in quotation marks, All Gold Everything, involves the pretty gratuitous use of the N-word, so Remy steered clear of that. Quite entertaining.
Now don't die on me. We'll be at the hospital soon. We just need to drive one more. Yeah. We're here to protest your immoral use of oil. Despite the fact there's oil all in my chain, oil all in my ring, oil all in my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. I got an oil hat and an oil shirt, 2 oil signs, I'm holding them. I got socks, shades, and shoes on, all made up petroleum. There's oil in my gummies, so oil in my tummy. Oil in the phone I used to call my mom for money. The ink on my sign, all these lenses for my side, all these pants and this asphalt, this glue I glued my ass all. It's all in my chain, all in my ring, all in my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. My name's Protester too, and people tell me that I'm crazy. But I'm not a bro who's loco, no, it's just that I am lazy. I was sitting at home stoic. My friend called before you know it. He said, bro, get down here quick, they just made sitting down heroic. So I grabbed my oil keys, oil sunscreen, oil wallet, and backpack. And if I reincarnate as a pod, I call the kettle black. I got in my oily EV and slammed the oil painted door and started judging all of you through my petroleum bullhorn, because there's oil all in my chain, oil all in my ring, oil all in my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. Lugga. Don't believe me, just watch. I'm late to work, I'll get fired. My patient's dying, look! You all should have thought of that before. I never read a book. I do not have colon cancer, no, for certain that's a fact. I can't confirm, cause I spent life with my head squarely up my...
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
So good. I mean, his parodies are so good because the lyrics are so good, and he's a good singer, performer. And the video's fun, too, so check it out. I'll tweet it out as we're wont to do. It's a creative way to remind people that petroleum is responsible for so many things, so many of modern conveniences, as he was detailing.
Yes.
Good stuff from Remy. By the way, so not just the idiot protester class, right, sitting down heroic, as he said, but all these dilettantes in wealthy suburbs that present a more fashionable version of those fashionable views that you heard from those two knuckleheads at the National Rotunda. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Rupert Darwell. He is the author of the book Green Tyranny, senior fellow at RealClear Foundation. And Rupert, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Pleased to be joining you, Dan and Amy.
So, in addition to Remy's parody raps, this could be the subject of another one, actually. We have more updates on what Western governments are thinking about doing to prevent the climate apocalypse. We had the story out a few months ago about a way to divert the sun from shining on America, build a dome, something Simpsons cartoon style. Now we have the story in the Journal yesterday, dumping chemicals in the ocean, spraying salt water into clouds, injecting reflective particles into the sky. Scientists, if you call them that, are resorting to once unthinkable techniques to cool the planet because global efforts to check greenhouse gas emissions are failing. So we need to take global evasive action on an heretofore unknown scale in order to prevent the coming apocalypse, which AOC puts at about T-minus 5 years now.
Yeah, that kind of thinking is just absurd, isn't it? When you consider that far more people die of cold than of warm, it's absolutely insane. And that scientists are proposing that just shows how off kilter the whole thing has become.
Well, I know that you recently wrote about the net zero. Speaking of a fashionable delusion and impact on Britain's energy policies. I mean, Western Europe maybe is more advanced in terms of these idiotic policies than in America, with perhaps the exception of California. So, I mean, maybe just let's delve into Britain a little bit to give us yet another case study.
Yeah, I mean, Britain's got sky-high electricity rates. I'd say that households are paying about 75% more for electricity than the average household in the US. For businesses, it's even worse. They're paying 3 to 4 times the price that US businesses are paying. And of course that feeds through into price levels. It also feeds through into your industrial competitiveness, the fact that in Britain and Germany and other Western European countries, basically they're deindustrializing. So blue collar work is going down. We're basically exporting all our jobs to manufacturing jobs to China. So it's pretty much a huge disaster. Net zero is obviously designed to save the planet, but it won't save the planet. But what it will do is destroy the economy, and that's what we're seeing.
Well, I know Dan doesn't like to talk about the royal family, but King Charles and Prince William, they've been beating this drum for a long time. What role did they play in all of this?
Yeah, I think it reflects an elite cultural view that that hydrocarbon energy, the Industrial Revolution, is bad, and we're back to feudalism in a way. It's the landowners and it's the super wealthy who can do well out of all this, but the rest of the country, the rest of the population suffers. But I think you're absolutely right to draw attention to it. It is a fixation and obsession of the elite.
Right, and that certainly includes, and importantly, we need to discuss, the scientists. The scientists that are always referred to. It's sort of the experts is the way that you're supposed to understand that. There's an organization. This piece by Caleb Howe over at RealClear Politics. Organization covering climate now, which is a major driver of climate-related news, encompassing more than 500 news and media outlets that partner with the organization, which represents an audience of 2 billion people in 57 countries. Its partners include names like ABC, CBS, Reuters, the Boston Globe, the Miami Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle. NBC News and Bloomberg are also partners. Founded by Columbia Journalism Review, and we know this very well, and in partnership with the far-left publication The Nation, funded by all these wealthy private foundations like the Rockefeller Family Fund and others. So, I mean, that is a huge number of media outlets that it's partnered with across the globe, all the big old legacy media. And as you can sort of intuit, covering climate now is all about aggressively pushing the climate apocalypse storyline.
That is absolutely right. They are part of what I call the climate industrial complex, and you have these foundations who are basically buying up the media coverage of climate change to stoke alarmism. But there's another side to that, which is the suppression of dissent on the internet. So you have outfits that go and rank websites, news and opinion sites for supposed climate disinformation, so they get pushed further down the Google search rankings, they get demonetized and so forth. So always remember the other side. It's not just stoking the alarm, it is crushing and silencing dissent, which is in many ways even worse in my opinion.
Well, so, I mean, you know, there's been a sort of a market reckoning in America with respect to EVs, despite the push, despite the subsidies, despite the job owning from D.C., where you have big rental car companies that are selling off their EV fleets, and the percentage of EV ownership as a percentage of overall automobile ownership in this country is actually on the decline, despite all of the push and all of the financial incentives. And so one wonders what the response should be from those who are trying to, middle the issue of being a good steward of our natural resources, as most reasonable people want to be, but not losing our minds and our industrial economies in the process. Because, you as you well know, with the kind of politician we're talking about, if the people don't do it willingly, they're happy to impose on them the mandate that they do it even unwillingly.
Yeah, that's a very good point you're making, because if you're having to force people to buy something that they don't want, there's something gone very wrong. And you see it not just with EVs, but you also see it with heat pumps that are meant to replace gas and oil-fired central heating and water heating. So if politicians are resorting to force, that is one red flag. But I have to say, there isn't, in my view, a trade-off between saying, well, we're good stewards of the environment and therefore we're going to go for EVs, we're going to have lots of renewable energy, because those things are bad for the environment. They are incredibly resource intensive. Mm-hmm. You have to make a battery, you have to dig out hundreds and hundreds of tons of mineral to make that battery. For wind power and solar farms, you have to cover hilltops and the countryside with very intrusive wind farms and solar farms, which destroy the environment. They destroy bird life. They kill bats in their hundreds of thousands. So I think it's really important to understand that environmental stewardship involves opposing these monstrosities that destroy the environment.
Well, it's also an eyesore, man. I just drove through France, the Luxembourg, Belgium, the Netherlands, and I could not believe how many wind farms that there were. And are they producing any energy? Because you'll have a 16th century beautiful farm and rolling hills, and then boom, these monstrosities that you speak of.
Yeah, they're also they are environmentally bad. They're also very bad in terms. They're very inefficient ways of generating electricity, and that's one of the reasons why Britain's electricity costs so much. It's because we have so much wind power. Wind power has to be subsidized, and you basically have to have not just the wind turbines. You also have to have the backup when the wind's not blowing. So you're paying twice over for to generate electricity. So not only is it bad for the environment, it's also really bad economic. It's bad economics, which is one of the reasons why Britain and Europe are doing so bad. Their economies are basically stagnating.
He is Rupert Darwell, Senior Fellow of the RealClear Foundation, author of the book Green Tyranny. Also, check out his report I just mentioned in our conversation over at RealClear Politics, The Folly of Climate Leadership. Rupert Darwell, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians